Last time on World History. Let's start with Cyrus the Great. But they don't just conquer the Medes, they conquer most of Southwest Asia. The 10,000 immortals were very well-trained soldiers until Darius the First took over the Persian Empire. Sparta, this is Sparta, said no, we're busy. And with Athens and Eretria's help, the Ionian city-states lost Persia. Persia was very upset with Athens and Eretria. And now the exciting conclusion of the Persian Wars. Hey everyone, welcome to World Studies. Special shout out to Miss Busarello's class. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this. So if you haven't figured it out yet, this is part 2 of a 2-part series on the Persian Wars. If you need to get caught up, there's a video right here. So let's fast forward 9 years after the Ionian Revolt. Darius the First, still very angry with Athens. Now he's got even more reason to be upset because 2 years earlier, he had sent a naval expedition to attack Athens, and they had been defeated. Not by Athens, but by nature. That's right. There had been a storm that wiped out the ships he sent to attack Athens. So a lot of anger. So it's 9 years later, and he sends a new military campaign against Athens. And he lands on the plains of Marathon. And he sent 15,000 troops, including cavalry and their horses. So Marathon, this is an area that's 26.2 miles away from Athens. That should sound familiar. 26.2 miles is the length of a marathon race. I bet you this is where it got its name. So he lands on the plains of Marathon, and he's greeted by Greek soldiers, not Sparta. Again, Sparta's got another religious festival going on, and they won't be there for another week or so. So it's time to attack now. And by all accounts, maybe the Persians should have won because they had more people than the Athenians and Greeks did. But the Greeks had two things going for them. The first thing was the phalanx. Now, the way the phalanx worked was you had two people close to each other, and they had a shield. I don't have it. So they had these shields, right? And these shields are big enough that you could cover both yourself and your neighbor. Then they had these long spears that they could jab with. I don't have a spear. I'll be right back. Okay, yardstick, close enough. And then they had these spears that they'd be able to jab with. Very effective. It's like the ancient tank. So they had the phalanx going for them, but they also had Persian overconfidence going for them as well. So what happens? You've got this long phalanx, and the Persians attack. And the phalanx starts to kind of bend in this way. And so the Persians think they're winning. So they push forward. And eventually the Greeks are able to surround them. And it's an absolute massacre. Many, many Persians died. Only 192 Greeks died. Very embarrassing for the Persian Empire. Now, the way the legend goes is after the battle, after the victory, a runner ran from the battlefield into Athens, 26.2 miles away, shouted, "Rejoice, we conquer," and died of exhaustion. And that's where we get the marathon race today, which is why I won't run one. We fast forward 10 more years. Now, Darius I held on to his anger until the day he died. And then his son Xerxes I takes over and attacks Greece again. Now, I got to be honest with you. I am not a military historian. I don't care about battle formations and all that stuff. But I know some of you are interested in that. So we're going to talk about two of the major battles during the Persian Wars under Xerxes. The first one is the Battle of Thermopylae. So the Persian army lands on Greece's mainland, and Sparta now is ready to defend Greece. Well, Leonidas, the king of Sparta, is ready to defend Greece. The rest of Sparta, again, has a religious festival going on. King Leonidas, upset by this, takes his small bodyguard of 300 soldiers to the pass at Thermopylae. It wasn't just him, though. There were 5,000 total Greeks at the pass of Thermopylae, ready to defend off the Persians. The great thing about a pass is even if you're facing a large army, they got to get funneled through this narrow area. So you're still fighting a very small number of soldiers at any given time, which really kind of negates the fact that they were fighting an army that was superior in numbers, hugely outnumbered here. And the amazing thing is that the Greeks held this pass for a number of days until they were betrayed. And somebody told them told the Persians that they could get around the mountains and attack from the rear. Most of the allies fled with the exception of the Spartans. And the Spartans fought to the last man, which is why they are so well remembered in history. The Persians go on to attack Athens. They sack Athens. They burn a lot of Athens. However, most of Athens had been evacuated at that point. This is where Themistocles comes in our second battle, the Battle of Salamis. Now, Themistocles had convinced Athens to use a lot of its resources to create a huge navy. He did so by lying, but that's a different video. But just know that there's this big navy now, and Themistocles is in command of it. They convinced the Persians that if they were to attack, they'd win. And they lure the Persian navy into the Straits of Salamis. Again, the numbers of the Persians are negated by the fact that they're fighting in this really small space. And the Greek navy was just stronger. And because they're fighting in a small place, they win. What's really interesting about the Battle of Salamis is one of their leaders during this strike, by them I mean the Persians, and her name was Artemisia the First. That's right, I said her name was Artemisia the First. She was a woman. Artemisia was from a Greek city-state that was still under Persian control, so she fought on the side of Persia. She was very trusted by Xerxes. Xerxes would ask for her advice. She was one of the only people to say, attacking in the Strait of Salamis, not a very good idea. But she fought in the battle anyway. After the Persians are defeated in the Strait of Salamis, she convinces Xerxes that he should put someone else in charge of the campaign against Greece. That way, if they were successful, he could claim victory. And if they were unsuccessful in Greece, he could say, well, when I was there, I made sure that I destroyed Athens. And so he would win either way. So Xerxes leaves Greece at this point. Long story short, the Persians lose. What's the result of the Persian Wars? Well, if you read Herodotus and a lot of Greek historians, the result is that, hey, now Greece is not all these separate little city-states. They are Greek. I don't know if I can buy into that completely. First of all, if you look at the fact that there were 700 Greek city-states at this time, only 20 to 30 of them actually fought against the Persians. The other argument I would have against that is that the Spartans and the Athenians would fight a war, a couple hundred years later. And so, again, not completely unified as this idea of being Greece. Also, did it bring an end to the Persian Empire? No, it really didn't. The Persians were still around. Yes, the attack or the fact that they lost against the Greek city-states was embarrassing, but it didn't really hurt the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire was still around. The Greeks still feared the Persian Empire after the Persian Wars. So I think both of those things can really be attributed to Alexander the Great more than the Persian Wars. Another really interesting outcome of the Persian Wars is the fact that the Greeks started looking at their enemies as other. What do I mean by this? Well, if you read Herodotus, he oftentimes refers to the Persians as barbarians. He also focuses on the cruelty of the Persians. This is different. We tend to vilify our enemies today, but if you look at, say, the Trojan Wars, they didn't vilify Troy. Hector was a hero. Paris was a hero. These were not people that were vilified. And in the Persian Wars, the Persians definitely were. I hope this video helped you understand what you wanted to know. Consider hitting like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time.